Not right now. Uh,
Okay.
Agarwal sir will be joining shortly, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the last lecture from my side. I'll be covering attitude dynamics and control, design as a with a design example. Will be going slightly more into details in the derivation part also, so that you can have a feeling for the whole thing. Okay, so to start with, I've spoken about the ECI and orbit reference frame earlier. Just to refresh your memory, reference frame is the initial reference frame where x-axis is along the vernal equinox, z-axis is along the Earth's north axis, and y completes the right-hand rule. This is what it shows. X, Y, Z is the inertial ECI frame, Earth-centered inertial frame. This shows the spacecraft the orbit in which the spacecraft is moving. So here you see this is called the orbit reference. Orbit reference z-axis is x-axis is along the velocity vector, y-axis is along the orbit normal, and z-axis is looks towards the Earth center. So z, x, y, z-axis forms a orbit reference frame. Here, if you see, as the satellite is moving in the orbit, the spacecraft is experiencing a velocity, angular velocity about y-axis, orbital y-axis. Okay, orbital y-axis axis is having a minus omega naught velocity, angular velocity. So, see, for example, when the satellite is going from next moment, so here z-axis is pointing, so z-axis is as rotated, and the rate of rotation is minus omega naught. Now, I will touch upon how to the relationship between body rates and Euler rates. Earlier, we discussed the Euler transformation. Here is a specific example. We will carry out Euler transformation in the following manner. First rotation is by angle psi about the z-axis. Theta will be about the new y1 axis, that is the pitch axis, and phi will be about the new x2 axis, that will be the roll axis. So here x, y, z, this represents the orbit reference frame. So we first give a rotation about z-axis, that is the yaw axis, by angle psi. So after rotation, this becomes x1 and y1, and the angular rate is psi dot. So we can write down x1, y1, z1 and relate it to the orbital xyz axis by this transformation. Remember, I told you the spacecraft is having a angular velocity minus omega naught about the orbital pitch axis. So I substitute here angular velocity about the pitch axis minus omega naught, and psi dot is what I have given the rotation. Psi dot is that Euler rate. So when I expand this one, I get the rates about x1, y1, z1 axis as minus omega naught sine, minus omega naught cos sine, and psi dot. Okay. Now I give a next rotation about the pitch axis, which is y1 axis, the new y1 axis, by angle theta. So this is a transformation, and that after theta rotation, it becomes x2, y2, z2. Okay, x2, y2, z2, and this is theta rotation, x1, y1, z1. Okay, now x1, y1, z1, these are the rates. I substitute in this rate, so I get the rate about x2 axis, y2 axis, and z2 axis like this one. Okay, so next rotation I will give about the spacecraft x2 axis, and x2, and I will end up with a, the x, small x, y x, and z axis, which I called as a body. Okay, so here xb, yb, zb, the rotation is by angle phi, and these are the rates. So here phi dot will be added because this was the earlier rate. I have given additional rate of phi dot. So this will, when I expand, it will give body rates as, I can write this xb, yb, zb, the rate about this axis as omega x, omega y, omega z, and I expand, it becomes like this thing. Okay. Now I make small angular approximation. Okay, because the attitude errors are generally small. So I say sine phi is equal to phi, cosine phi is 1, and like sine psi, sine theta, the same thing. And I neglect the product of small quantities. When I do that one and I simplify, I get omega x, omega y, omega z as phi dot minus omega naught psi. Omega y is equal to minus omega naught plus theta dot, and omega z is equal to omega naught phi plus psi dot. Okay. Now you will see this omega x and omega z, that is roll axis and the yaw axis, they experience orbital coupling through orbit rate omega naught. Okay, this is something very important you should remember. We will deal with this. This will come again and again subsequently also. So my body rates are related to the Euler angles in this manner. Now I write down the spacecraft equation of motion which we have described, which we have covered in our earlier lecture. I write the total angular momentum of the spacecraft, which is the sum of spacecraft body and the wheels. Okay, HB and HW are the angular momentum of the spacecraft body and the wheels respectively. I can write the rate of change of angular momentum of the spacecraft is equal to the applied torque. M naught is equal to h dot, and when I take the expand this one, you remember this omega cross hp because these are the vector quantities, and bodies wheel are mounted within the body, and body is experiencing a motion of omega. So when you do this thing, it will recall, if you may recall the previous lecture, we get omega cross h, omega cross within bracket hb plus hw. And hb is equal to nothing but spacecraft inertia into the angular velocity. This can be written like this thing. hw is 3 wheels along momentum from the wheels along the spacecraft x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, hwx, hwy, hwz. So okay, now expanding it further, they can be written like this thing. Now I can write omega x in terms of the Euler rate. So this was what we said, omega x is equal to phi dot minus omega naught psi. Okay, and omega x dot is equal to phi double dot minus omega naught psi dot. Omega is a constant term. Orbital, okay, let's assume omega naught is a constant term because it's in a circular orbit. Let's assume that way. But if it is in an elliptical orbit, then the omega naught will also, another term will come omega naught. Okay, because it's not constant. For our purposes, we can, at simplification wise, we can take this omega naught as constant. Okay, so I substitute these values of omega x dot, y dot, z dot, and omega x y in this one, and I can simplify the equation further. And again, I am neglecting the product of small quantities. So this equation becomes Ixx phi double dot Hwx dot minus omega net, like this thing. And here you see this equation is a pitch, represent the pitch axis dynamics. This is decoupled from these two. Here they are, see, in the roll axis equation, yaw is appearing, yaw rate is appearing. Okay, in the yaw axis equation, roll rate is appearing. So roll and yaw are coupled equation. The coupling is coming because of two things. One is omega naught, and other is coming because of the momentum, omega naught hwx. Two components are coming into the picture. So therefore, since this equation is decoupled from the roll and yaw, we can design the pitch axis separately and control and roll yaw control separately. Okay. Now let us take a simple example of single axis momentum bias system. In the single axis momentum bias system, there is a wheel running at a constant speed. Okay, providing an angular momentum along the pitch axis. And there are no the v's along roll and jaw are not there. So therefore, we can write HWX equal to HWZ equal to 0. And by convention, as you say, the pitch momentum is always defined as minus h, that is towards the spacecraft the negative pitch axis. That's by definition. Okay, this is what generally is followed in the text if you see. Okay, now equations of motion can be written as, after substituting this one, they will become simplified like this thing. Okay, so here again you see this is h dot will be the rate of change of h, the angular momentum of pitch wheel will provide a control torque. Okay, and they are because of h, large angular momentum, large angular the gyroscopic stiffness, this motion about the pitch, about the roll and jaw axis will be constrained. Okay. Now, if you see roll jaw are coupled, there are two components of coupling the roll jaw. One is omega naught, orbital rate, and other is nutational frequency, which is nothing but omega n is equal to h divided by under root of Ixx Izz. Okay. Now, here you see this represents the motion of the body in the orbit with respect to orbit reference frame. Okay, on top of it is this small motion. Okay, this is this higher frequency motion. This higher frequency motion is nothing but a nutation motion, and this is represents the orbit, the orbit coupling. I'll come to that one in the next slide once again in detail. Okay, so omega naught provides orbit roll jaw conversion every quarter of orbit, which we discussed earlier, but I'll explain to you. Maybe I'll go to the next slide. Okay. Okay, I will come to that one. Now, let me come to the roll jaw behavior of momentum bias system. Let me look at the other two axes, roll axis and jaw axis. I write this equation. Now I can write this in the state space form. Okay, in the state space form, I can define phi equal to phi 1, phi 2 is equal to phi 1 dot equal to phi dot, and phi 2 dot is equal to phi 1 dot, simplification. And I can write this equation in the matrix form in like this thing. Okay, d by dt equal to phi 1, phi 2, psi 1, psi 2 is equal to in the matrix form. Okay. So this can be written in this as dx by dt equal to fx plus m naught. You take the Laplace transform and find the solution of xs. It will be nothing but si minus f, this whole matrix inverse, into at the initial condition of xt at time t equal to t naught plus the m naught. But this is a Laplace transform of the disturbance torque. Okay. Okay, sorry, here it should be divided by Ix also. Okay. M naught, here should be divided by Ix. Okay. Now, you see the determinant of Si minus F, the determinant of this matrix S minus F is called the characteristic equation, which determines the open loop response of the system. So you will see when you take the determinant of this matrix S minus F, you will see it will show the both orbital rate and nutation frequency like this thing. That means when you expand that equation, it will be S square plus omega naught square into, within the bracket, s square plus omega naught square into another bracket, s square plus omega n square. Okay, omega square and omega n square, the product will is very small, so that will be neglected. But you can see the equation will turn out to be like that one. I was telling you the roll jaw coupling. If you remember this picture, I said earlier also, imagine the satellite is moving in the orbit. At one instant of time, the spacecraft has a attitude error, say roll axis at this point. Okay. Now, supposing there is no disturbance torque, for simplification, the angular momentum is conserved as the spacecraft moves in orbit. And since the spacecraft yaw axis is always pointing toward the Earth center, here spacecraft is pointing in this direction. After a quarter of orbit, it has experienced a 90-degree motion. So whatever was the angular momentum direction, that remains same. Suppose the angular momentum direction was in this direction. Here also it will come in this direction. Now that is equivalent to a yaw error. When you come at this point, it will be equal to a negative roll error. When you come here, it will be equivalent to a negative yaw error. So there is a roll yaw conversion that is taking place. That is the orbit coupling, because of the orbit coupling. Okay. So this phenomena is used in controlling the spacecraft, because spacecraft generally employ Earth sensors, and Earth sensor can sense only the pitch axis motion and the roll axis motion. So yaw axis, there is no direct measurement. Okay. So what you can do is, because the spacecraft distances are very small, the attitude error buildup takes place very small, this thing, and if the angular momentum is very high, gyroscopic stiffness will be very high, the rate of buildup of the error, attitude error, because of disturbance, will be slow. So what will happen is, this will, because of this reason, yaw will get converted to roll and can be seen by the sensor, sensed by the sensor, and you can correct. Okay. So that's how this is the phenomena made use of in controlling the satellite. Okay. Okay. Now here you say the spacecraft, if the pitch and disturbance torque is cyclic during each orbit, the wheel will accelerate for half orbit and then deaccelerate during the next half orbit. So hence next wheel speed will be 0. But if there is a constant disturbance torque pushing the spacecraft over the pitch axis in one direction, the pitch wheel speed will either build up to a higher value or come down to a lower value, depending on the direction of disturbance. So, which means when such a thing happens, you have to fire thrusters to bring the speed to the nominal value. So, what you are doing is, the disturbance torque is getting accumulated in the wheel speed over time, and when the wheel speed reaches a upper threshold or a lower threshold for the wheel, you give a impulse, you create a disturbance in the opposite direction, and that opposite direction disturbance attitude control will try to control. In that process, it will bring down the wheel speed. Now when you come to the roll yaw, like I told you, if there's a roll yaw disturbance torque is there, because of gyroscopic stiffness, the buildup takes place very slowly. And this is how the spacecraft roll and yaw error buildup is taking place slowly over several orbits. It shows. And this is one, it shows the once this complete coverage will be one cycle, one orbit period. Okay. So this is basically it's diverging, but the supposing the overall period from starting from here, you're starting from here, and it build up and you come here, it has one orbit period. Okay, so that's how the spacecraft roll yaw errors are building, and see this error is getting converted to roll and yaw. Okay, roll and yaw, and whenever roll exceeds the threshold acceptable, you fire thruster or you control with the magnetic torque. Now let us come to three-axis reaction wheel system. Okay, that is, there is a one reaction wheel mounted along each axis of the spacecraft, and the nominal speed of the reaction wheel is 0 to start with. As the time increases, the wheel speed will change because of disturbance torque. Now the same equation, including all the three wheels, can be written like this thing. Again, the same pitch axis is decoupled from roll and yaw axis. Okay. The roll and yaw axes are coupled through roll axis is coupled through the yaw wheel, and yaw axis coupled through the roll wheel. Okay. Same phenomena, basically concept is same, except there whatever was happening in terms of attitude error is happening in terms of the wheel speeds. Okay. In this case, all the three axes are continuously controlled by the wheels. The roll and yaw wheel speed variation will experience the orbit coupling. That is, the roll and yaw will show sinusoidal behavior with 90-degree phase difference. Okay. So I just to simplify this equation, sorry. Okay. Now, just to simplify, show the behavior of spacecraft in steady state. In steady state, when you are controlling the attitude and you are maintaining the attitude, this term phi double dot and psi double dot will be acceleration will be zero body. Rates will be zero, psi dot and phi dot rate will be zero, psi dot phi dot rate will be zero. Now, and psi phi also will be zero. So under this condition, if I write the equation with this assumption, it becomes hwx dot minus omega naught hwz is equal to mox is the torque. This is the roll axis, roll disturbance, yaw axis, yaw disturbance. Now, when you simplify this one, you will find the roll yaw speeds, which is hwx, because of this disturbance, will show a growing sinusoidal behavior. Okay. Earlier it was there were no wheels, error was going like that one. Now error is being absorbed in the wheels, and wheel speeds are behaving in the same manner. Everything is same. Okay. Now here you can see this is basically the behavior of the wheel speed due to disturbance torque. Okay, showing the effect of roll yaw coupling. Since the nominal speed of each wheel is zero, we can write the equation of motion for the control loop design purposes, taking hwx, hwy, it should be hwy equal to hwz equal to 0 as 3 decoupled equations. Okay. So now rate of change of wheel speed provides the control torque. Basically, this will provide the control torque. This will provide control torque. Okay. Now let us take one example. Pitch axis. Simple, because say decoupled, first we'll take a pitch axis. Pitch axis equation of motion, which I said earlier, I y theta double dot is equal to h dot wy is equal to this thing. Now I have writing for MOY, I am writing TDY, disturbance torque. It's only a change of nomenclature, nothing. Okay. Rate of change of angular momentum of the pitch wheel, I can write as inertia into speed. Okay. So represent the rate of change of wheel speed omega s to impart the direct torque about the pitch axis. Equation of motion shows that there is no natural damping available and can be only provided through control action. So we can write HWY dot, which provides the control capability as minus TC. So I can write IY theta double dot is equal to, because it's minus TC, it goes on this side, TC plus TDY, disturbance torque, and this is control torque. And I can write some of this as U. The open loop transfer function can be written as theta of S is equal to U of S, Laplace transform, divided by S square into IYY. Clearly, this system is unstable as it has a double pole at origin. Several types of controllers can be used to control the system. Here we will consider focus on simple proportional integrator derivative controller called PIT controller. What is PIT controller? Consists of a proportional term, proportional to the error, integral term, and the differential term. Okay. Now, say this HS, so I have put the whole thing in a simplified block diagram. Say you have as you want to attain certain attitude, you compare with that with the major attitude, and that becomes called the error signal. Now you apply a control law. I call that control law transfer function as HFS, which is nothing but PID. PID, which I showed you. HFS is nothing but KP plus KP plus S KD plus KI divided by S into theta E. Okay, so that becomes a control torque. Distance torque is acting, sum of this thing, this is the U, and this is the spacecraft dynamics. And in response to the control torque and distance torque, the attitude change, this is theta. Theta is measured by the pitch sensor, and the feedback is, this is how the closed loop feedback is completed. I can write this theta in the form of, as a function of, theta reference and TDY in the following manner. You can, I think, I don't know whether you are familiar with this control feedback system or not, but if you write, you simply take theta reference minus theta E into this H is equal to, okay, plus TDY divided by this thing equal to theta. You can simplify, you will get this kind of a thing. Okay. So this is some of it. Assuming disturbance torque is 0, then we can write theta s divided by theta reference is equal to like this thing, and theta E is the error. Okay, this is theta s, this is theta E. This portion theta minus reference minus theta, I can write like this thing. The transfer function is like this way. In the normal operating condition, theta reference is 0. See, you have some error, you want to go to 0, you want to make it 0. Reference is 0. So you can write the same, theta reference is 0. So this becomes basically equation like this thing. Okay. Now, proportional integrated derivative controller is what I told earlier. I write down the transfer function. So it is like this thing. So transfer function H of S, okay, basically is minus Kp plus Ki plus Skd. Here, what I said was sorry, it should be plus sign. It should be plus sign. Okay. When if the theta reference is taken as 0, because theta is the theta reference minus theta, so minus will come because that one. This is sorry, it should be positive sign. Okay. So you can write in transfer function form as theta s divided by theta reference in this fashion. And as a function of disturbance torque, you can write in, this will get simplified in this manner. Now we will look at take a simple proportional controller, which means simple proportional controller, I take Ki as 0 and Kd as 0. I take only Kp into theta E. Simple proportional controller. Okay. So it becomes, in the time domain, it becomes Ky theta double dot is Tc, which I told was minus Kp into theta. Say Kp into theta E, because theta reference is taken as 0 minus Kp theta. So Iy by theta double dot plus Kp theta is nothing but an equation of a simple harmonic oscillator. Okay. So what will happen is this will result in a oscillatory response with frequency which is given by omega n equal to Kp divided by Iy under root. In the frequency domain, you can write this as in this form. So basically, this is the, when you solve, this is the equation of a sinusoidal transfer function of a sinusoidal wave. Okay. Similarly, theta s by this thing, this is cosine, this will be as a sinusoidal nature, this will be a cosine nature. Clearly, the using only proportional control results in a closed loop system that yields a sinusoidal response with frequency this thing. Supposing there is an initial error of say 5 degree, example, then theta will oscillate about 0 with an amplitude of 5 degree, and thus the response is not asymptotically stable, that means it will be oscillating, it will never go to zero. So that is the problem with the proportional control. What is the alternative? So what we'll do is we will now, in addition to proportional term, we will add a derivative term. Okay, so Tc is equal to Kp into theta e plus Kd into theta e dot. This is the error rate of change of error. So we can write the transfer function form as Kp plus Skd. In time domain, same equation becomes Kp Iy theta double dot equal to minus Kp theta minus Kd theta. Sorry, this should be theta e. Sorry, theta dot. Okay, my apologies. Okay, here I've written taking the reference 0, but this is a mistake. It should be theta dot. Okay, now the closed loop response becomes like this thing. Okay, now the characteristic equation is, this is the characteristic equation. This can be written this way. Okay, here now this is the damping factor is equal to Kd divided by like this thing is the damping ratio, and this is the undamped natural frequency, which is the frequency, okay, of natural sinusoid. Okay, Kp by Iy is the omega n square, and this is 2 zeta into, when you take, becomes 2 zeta into omega n becomes Kd by I. Okay, when you look at this one in detail, you will be able to appreciate. Now let us see. Now the closed loop dynamics can be made stable. There are 4 types of responses possible for different value of zeta. Zeta is less than 0. This results in an unstable system. Okay. Zeta equal to 0, this is equivalent to a proportional controller. That is, Kd term is absent. Kd term is negative, that is unstable. Kd term is 0, this is proportional controller, and resulting in an undamped system. Okay, with this kind of a, this is the equation of the response for the system. If zeta lies between 0 and 1, this results in exponentially decaying sinusoidal, known as underdamped response. Frequency of the damped frequency will be this, and the response is given by theta is equal to in this manner. Okay. Here is an example for different value of theta. Say, what is happening is, here it shows, damping factor of 0.1, 0.7, and 0.9. This is the response if the damping factor is 0.1. This is for 0.7. This is for 0.9. So what you see is, it is, tries to settle, this is 0. You start with a certain 1 degree error. It's with a low damping, it takes long time for it to damp to come to 0 value. 0.7 takes slightly shorter time, 0.9 will take still shorter time. Okay, so what happens when zeta is greater than 1? This results in a over-damped response. Since all the roots denoted by S1, S2 have a complex conjugate pair with negative real part, and response will be like this thing. Okay, so as you increase the rate feedback, your the response becomes, of course, it becomes sluggish also. It takes, okay, but it, reaches a asymptotic condition, desired asymptotic condition also. So let me put it in a very simple words. PD controller, single axis PD controller, controller explain design process concept based for basic spacecraft design. That is, spacecraft attitude control must incorporate derivative feedback in order to achieve asymptotically stable response. Number one, derivative information is achieved either through rate gyros or by taking a finite difference of attitude. That is, theta dot is required. Either you can take the use a rate gyro which directly gives you theta dot, or you can take this difference of two successive sensor outputs and derive the rate information. Now, what happens is, if you do the difference, take the difference of two successive samples of the sensor output, if any noise is there, it will get amplified. So that is a negative point. For tight pointing and jitter requirements, the finite difference approach will certainly not meet the requirements, so the high quality gyros must be employed. It can be seen that for a unit step input will result in a unit response at time t equal to infinity. Thus, zero steady state error is achieved, which results in perfect tracking. The closed loop response is given by in this manner. Okay, from the final value theorem, the steady state response for constant disturbance torque input is given by TDY divided by Kp. Okay, I'll just show it to you. Okay, I'll just go. Okay, here you see in this equation. Okay, in this equation, you see in steady state, theta dot is 0, and theta double dot is 0, acceleration 0, theta dot is 0. In steady state, minus Kp theta is plus Tdy is equal to 0. That means in steady state, theta will be equal to Tdy divided by Kp. Okay. Now, the value of, for a given disturbance torque, value of Kp will decide what is the steady state error that will be resulting from a simple PD controller. Okay. Now, to overcome this problem of the steady state error, we incorporate what is called as an integral term in the feedback. With the integral term, the spacecraft transfer function will become like this thing. And from the final value theorem, you will find the disturbance response at steady state is now 0. Stable response is achieved for PD controller when PD gains are positive. However, the addition of integral term can destabilize the system. Say, you have an advantage, you can make the steady state error 0 by incorporating an integral term. But integral term can also make the system unstable under certain conditions. Okay. Whereas PD controller, so long as Kp and Kd are positive, you will always have a stable system. But addition of this term can cause instability. That instability means attitude error will grow with time. Here is the example. Okay, let us take one simple example. Assume y equal to Kp is equal to Kd equal to 1. Some hypothetical. Okay, it's not just to explain. And Ki is varied from 0 to 2. Now it shows the plot of the roots of the characteristic equation. This is x-axis, this is y-axis is 0. The roots on the right-hand side of 0 will result in the instability condition. Okay, on the left side, system will be stable. Now, for this example, roots are plotted, and it shows this roots cross the y-axis, x-axis 0. It crosses for value of Ki greater than 1. So, which means you cannot have value greater than 1 Otherwise, the system will become unstable. Okay, so that is the condition. You have to be extra careful while designing the PID controller, and the appropriate value of Ki has to be chosen. Okay, so this is the very, very important thing. So you have one hand steady state error to be made zero, other hand you have a possibility of uh, instability. So the design approach has to be properly done. Okay, so I think I've already explained to you this one. Okay. Now, we'll take one specific example how to design the control system. Let us say pitch axis position gain Kp is based on the following consideration. Response time, which is approximately 1 by omega n, where omega n is the bandwidth given by this thing. Steady state errors to external disturbance torque. Okay. The the bandwidth of the control loop should be less than the solar array bending frequency. See, typically, of course, it depends on the size of solar array. We can say for typical our ISRO satellite, the bending frequency of the solar array is typically 0.2 hertz, which is nothing but 1.25 radians per second. It can be less also depending on the size of the array. So let's take omega n to be approximately half of the bending mode frequency of solar array. Example, which means omega n is equal to Kp divided by omega y is equal to 0.625. Okay. Knowing the value of spacecraft inertia, one can find Kp is equal to Iy into omega n square. Let's take Iy maybe with a 1000 kg meter square spacecraft. So Kp becomes 390.65 Newton meter per radian. Now, maximum reaction wheel torque, T saturation, typically 0.1 Newton meter. That is the maximum torque the reaction wheel or momentum wheel can provide is typically in the range of 0.1 Newton meter. Okay, that's a higher value. Now, if I have to need, under what attitude error, I will be demanding the maximum torque. So if I say Kp into theta is equal to 0.1 Newton meter, it comes to 0.0147 degree. That means when the attitude error is 0.0147 degree, you will be applying the maximum torque. Now, with that kind of thing, the spacecraft sensor itself may be having larger noise. So you cannot, you have to change, you have to reduce the value of Kp. Otherwise, with that Kp and the spacecraft will be responding to noise only. So let us do one thing. Let's do the iteration and let's say, let us take theta instead of 0.0147. Okay, let's take it theta to be approximately 0.45 degree, which I mean to round out to 0.008 radian. Now this will give you Kp of 12.5 Newton meter per radian. That means at 0.45 degree, what value of Kp will require torque of 0.1? So 0.1 divided by 0.008 radian will be equal to Kp equal to 12.5 Newton meter per radian. So this will give a omega n of 0.118 radian or 0.0178 hertz, which is far, far less than the solar array bending frequency. So that is acceptable. Now we have to find the derivative gain, Kd. Kd, having found Kp and the typical value of zeta would be between 0.7 to 1. Because more than 1 is overdamped system, it becomes sluggish. See here, if you see this picture, zeta is 0, sinusoidal. 0.1, takes more time. 0.2, slightly less time. 0.4, still less. 0.7, okay. When it comes to 0.1, it becomes sluggish. When zeta becomes 2, it is taking longer time to settle. So typically 0.0707 to 1 is what would be reasonably acceptable. Okay, so you can select and then carry out a simulation and see what is acceptable. Then the next is steady state errors due to constant disturbance torque. Assuming a typical disturbance torque acting on a spacecraft is 10 to power minus 4 Newton meter, 10 to power minus 4 Newton meter. And theta steady state, okay, will result in this kind of a error which is negligible. So we don't have to worry. Okay, so we can go with a simple proportional derivative controller also. Okay, we need not go for a PID controller and make the system prone to instability. So let me once again reiterate what I have said. The value of Kp also largely determines the attitude control system bandwidth, which is a measure of its speed of response. Omega n is equal to Kp by I under root, where I is the inertia of the spacecraft. Now, bandwidth, what is the definition of bandwidth? Bandwidth defines the frequency of disturbance and of commanded motion at which control authority begins to diminish. What it means is less than omega n, the control authority is okay. If there is a motion, you need to have a varying attitude motion requirement, less than omega n frequency in the desired motion acceptable. More than omega n, then it will not be, the spacecraft will not be following that motion. Or the disturbance, if the disturbance torque is low frequency, then it will be you can control it. It will be okay. If the disturbance torque is very high frequency, then the control authority begins to diminish. Okay. Attitude control and disturbance rejections are effective from zero frequency DC up to the bandwidth. This is what I said. Attitude control and disturbance torque rejection are effective from 0 to the bandwidth. Speed of response is approximately the reciprocal of the bandwidth, that is 1 by omega n. High accuracy implies high Kp and high bandwidth. However, there are practical limits on bandwidth. If the bandwidth is high enough that it includes bending frequency of the spacecraft structure elements like arrays, then control structure interaction must be carefully considered. Caution: if the bandwidth is higher than the maximum sampling rate of the sensor, care has to be taken to avoid excessive attitude response to slow sensor updates. What it means is, say these days all sensors are digital in nature, output is digital in nature. That is, they will provide a output, say every 100 millisecond or every 200 millisecond. Okay, so you have to be careful. Your omega n should be less than that sampling frequency of the sensor output. That is important. Okay, if the sensor sampling is say 100 millisecond, which is 10 hertz, okay, now omega n can be less than that one. Okay, if the sensor frequency is very, very sluggish, then you have to worry. So this is a, care has to be taken. Simple linear design is one thing, but once you look at the practical thing, when you look at all the various things in the system, then you will begin to feel that how difficult the design becomes. Now, again, design of roll jaw control loop. Approach is similar to pitch axis. However, here one thing you have to do is, the effect of roll and jaw wheel speed, which was neglected during the design, is compensated in roll jaw control torque command as follows. So what you do is, earlier we took HWX dot is equal to minus TCX, where TCX is equal to resistance. So what we can do is, we can say the TCX, HWX is nothing but minus TCX. Minus TCX minus this term should be equal to 0. So that means this HWX dot will be minus TCX, where TCX is equal to less this thing. So that when you substitute this thing, this term will get cancelled with this term, and you will have a simple equation I xx phi double dot plus kp phi e plus integral plus rate feedback. Okay, what it means is in the controller you add this one. Since HWZ is a measurement available, you can, okay, speed measurement is available, you multiply with omega naught and compensate that one, and take care of this term which earlier which we had neglected. So this is what it basically comes to. Okay, now controllers for high agility spacecraft. Say high agility spacecraft, there are two things. You have the spacecraft is the following a moving target or a stationary target with certain velocity and attitude rates and attitude angle at a given point of time. Okay, so at every instant of time, you want the spacecraft to have a particular attitude and a particular rate. How to achieve that one? The simplest control law in that case will be to make use of a feed-forward terms for both desired attitude as well as rate. Okay. Not rate TS, no, sorry, rate means omega r. Okay, this is TS is wrong. In addition to the feed forward optimal torque as follows. That is, what you do is reference attitude is known, measured is this thing. Okay. Now what you do is you generate what is the desired rate at a given point of time that you compare with the actual body rate. Plus, because attitude is changing fast, theta r is changing fast, so you add acceleration terms because of theta r double dot. This is a feed forward term. See, in the feedback system, we have only this portion. This is what is called a feed forward term. Say, normally what happens is in the typical control system, you sense the error, you apply the torque, the response will take place slowly. Okay, but here we want the spacecraft to respond quickly. Okay, so we have to generate a torque, we have to give a torque with the desired torque in real time, which will produce that desired motion. So that's why theta r double dot is coming to picture. Now, this is a simplified block diagram with this kind of a controller. Here you see theta body divided by theta r. Okay, and this is theta e. This is theta e. Theta e divided by theta r is equal to this one. Now, if you see, if this is the j, my estimate value, j into theta r, I say this is the desired, this is the acceleration and this is the estimated value of j. If this, and this is the actual inertia of the body, this is actual. If j and iy if are same, then I find theta b is equal to theta r. That is theta e is theta r is minus theta b is this is 0. So the knowledge of j, which I am using in the generating the feed forward control torque, is very, very important. How close it is to the actual value will determine what kind of a attitude error would be there when you want to achieve desired attitude and attitude rates. So many times what we do is we make this parameter commandable from ground, because to start with, because Iy we may not have a good knowledge of Iyy. Okay, so we with best estimate we command. Then we see the performance in the spacecraft orbit. Then we can refine and make it based on that observation. We can refine this number and update it and try to control the spacecraft in a better way. There, what is the now time optical controllers are the bang controllers. Say there is always a requirement that I want to go from a given attitude position to a desired attitude position in a minimum time. So minimum time will depend on the time will depend on the what is the torque, maximum torque available to me, and what is the inertia. But basically, what it will happen is it will result in a bang control. That means for half the duration you will be applying positive torque. Attitude error will be building, attitude rate will be building, and the other second half you will apply a negative torque, and whatever rate was there will be slowly brought down, and at this time at rate will be zero and attitude will be achieved. This is what is called a minimum time optimal bang control. Okay, so here if you see, this is a sharp, sudden application of torque, positive. Here, sudden application of negative torque. Here, sudden application of making the torque zero. This kind of sudden switching on of our polarity change results in the excitement of solar array vibration, which affects the quality of images. Most desirable profile will be sinusoidal in nature. Instead of having this thing, if I have a sinusoidal torque profile, okay, and so that sinusoidal, it is a very smooth, it has a very smooth transition. But the problem is, it will require more torque, peak torque. So peak torque will be pi times the bang type of control torque. What it means is the sinusoidal peak will be 3.14 times this torque. Then only you will get a thing. So what is the alternate? Alternate is something in between what is called a cubic spline. Cubic spline means you slowly build the torque and then come to a peak value, then slowly start decreasing, go to the negative value, and then apply negative maximum torque, then slowly do this thing. This is a cubic spline method. This is a in between the bang and a sinusoidal profile. Okay, so this is sort of a in between condition. So here it shows pictorially. See what happens is, like I said, you have a alpha of 0.1. Alpha is the peak torque. The definition from this alpha TF. This point is alpha TF. Okay, we define TF total type we want to achieve within certain time period TF, the maneuver. So we with 0.1, this is the profile. With 0.2, it will be faster. 0.3 will be still faster. Okay, so with this kind of a thing, this is what it says. For it is between this time, it is rising. The torque is rising according to this formula. Then between this and this time, it says positive. Then this falls down and like this thing. So alpha controls the sharpness of the switches. Alpha equal to 0 generates bang control, and alpha equal to 0.25 generates the smoothest member of the family. So this performance shows, say, the torques, you integrate the torques, you get the velocity. So velocity will be coming, and you integrate once again, you get the angle. So here up to this point, the rate is increasing. Okay, and here the rate starts decreasing, and attitude goes in a smooth manner, in this manner. This is another one where you have different alpha and alpha 2 means rise time and fall time are different. You have a like this thing. During this time, it's zero torque. Then you have another. This is another profile where the spacecraft is coasting at a constant velocity, and then it starts decreasing the velocity. So here, it is moving between this point to this point. It's moving at a constant rate. The buildup is linear. So these are the various type of maneuvers and torque profiles. Now let me come to a very special consideration for control loss during station keeping mode. See, spacecraft attitude, spacecraft, say, like our communication satellite, the services are required to be provided 24-hour continuous basis non-stop. Okay. Now what happens is you have to also carry out the maneuver to adjust the orbit. And for that one, you have to fire thruster. Thruster produce large disturbances. So you have to have, and yet, say, you want to maintain the pointing. So it becomes a very difficult situation. You need to have a very high gain. And high gain, if you have, then the control structure interaction will take place. So you have to have a large number of trade-offs to be done. Okay, in the design of a control system, during high gain control system, especially during stationary keeping mode. So you have to consider large flexibility due to solar array boom compared to total inertial spacecraft. Then you have to also consider the OBC sampling period of sensors, control algorithm computation and outputting delays. Okay. Then you have to have, in order to minimize the structural vibration and control loop, you may require certain notch filters. That is, you filter out the frequencies, and the control system does not respond to those vibration frequencies. Okay, because if they start responding, there is a delay because of processing algorithm, sampling rates, and all. So it may be the control torque may get applied in the wrong phase. So there is lots, care has to be taken. This is just for information. Okay, in general, controllers for various modes of operations. We have various modes of operation. We want to have spacecraft sun pointing mode. We want to have spacecraft earth pointing mode. We have a spacecraft on orbit imaging mode of operation. We have the spacecraft orbit adjust maneuver. Okay, we have so many maneuvers are there. So the control laws for different modes are different type. Generally, for all the spacecraft, sun acquisition mode, earth acquisition mode, etc., we use a simple PD controller because there is no very hard requirements on the spacecraft pointing. Okay, so a simple PD controller is what is implied during various things. But when it comes to on-orbit imaging modes or on-orbit modes of operation, then we prefer to use PIT controller. And PIT controller, many times we implement estimator come observer. Okay. Using only the Earth sensor information, we will estimate the disturbance torque and estimate the attitude errors and the attitude rates and feed them back in the control loop. So they basically, conceptually, they are same as PIT type of controller. Okay. When where we have a high agility spacecraft, where the spacecraft is looking at moving targets, or a spacecraft is desired to have a very high pointing and varying attitude and rate requirement, there we use feed controller. Okay, so these are the this is just a summary of what our control system. Okay, now in control system simulation, when we start the control system design, we simplify many
Malik Sahab, do you want to give some break for 5-10 minutes?
They say only 2-3 slides are there.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Now, control system simulation, like I said, when we design control system, control law, we make a lot of simplification. Okay. But we have to see the effect of those simplifications once we start in the actual situation. So what we do is we need to carry out a very detailed simulation, which includes all the simplification assumptions made. All of those are included in that one. Okay. During the design and control of the spacecraft, generally we assume it to be rigid, but in reality, spacecraft has a flexible element, okay, like solar array. So what we have to do is we have to, though design phase we have neglected our flexibility, but we have to include the effect of flexibility, model the spacecraft. Instead of a rigid spacecraft, we have to model the spacecraft, which includes lightly damped low frequency appendages such as solar array and boom. These low frequency lightly damped can affect the jitter requirements for imaging mode, and in worst case cause instability for a high gain system using especially thruster for onward station keeping mode. Therefore, the spacecraft equation of motion should include the dynamics of spacecraft flexible bodies also. Other important factor is, say, spacecraft inertia. Say the spacecraft inertia, with the deployed array cannot be tested, cannot be measured. Only thing is, what is done is spacecraft as a box. Okay, whatever is there in the box, you can measure the spacecraft inertia in that condition. Now, when the spacecraft array is deployed, you have to compute the initial spacecraft deployed configuration. So there's an element of uncertainty comes, how the masses are distributed for the solar array. You can't take a uniformly distributed mass and compute it. There are, at places their masses are not uniform. There is some switch is there, there's a pyro valve is there, there's things like that one. So it requires a computation. Computation is an element of uncertainty. Similarly, when we say flexibility of the spacecraft is flexible, we cannot measure the flexibility frequencies on ground. Not possible. And how much is the modal mass associated with each frequency or mode shape is also not known. So these are all computed using some partial measurement data of piece and elements, and try to get a thing. So this also has an element of uncertainty. So therefore, to cover all these uncertainties, the parametric variation has to be done, which includes the inertia variation, it includes the flexibility variation, the frequency variation. Then there are non-linearities in saturation of sensors and actuators. Sensors may not be giving you a linear output. For 1 degree, it may not give you 1 degree. For 2 degree, it may not give you 2 degree. It may have a scale factor variation as a function of the input error. It may not be. Similarly, the gyros, gyros have uncertainty. They have basically drifts. Drifts are dependent on the temperature. Drift, the scale factor is a function of temperature. Scale factor means when I say 1 degree per second, it gives you 1 degree per second. But when it's 1.5 degree, it may give you 1.45 degree per second. So it's not a linear characteristic. It's a non-linearity there. Okay. So all these effects have to be included in the simulation. The saturation of sensor, non-linearity sensor, sensor noise. Similarly for the wheels, thruster, everything has to be included. The rise time of the thruster, when you apply a thruster short pulse, the thruster doesn't develop instantaneously. It has a rise time. So all these things have to be included in the simulation. Then only you can get an actual thing. But all these things you neglect in the design phase. But the complete simulation has to include this thing. The other thing is sensor outputs are digital and updated every TBD seconds. For example, the star sensor takes a snapshot of stars, takes finite time to process that information before sending it to the onboard computer. Means it takes a snapshot. It has to compare with the catalog, find out which stars are, identify the stars, and with respect to those stars, find out what is the deviation, compute the attitude error, and send it to this thing. So when the OBC receives the attitude error, it is delayed input for something which happened 200 or 250 milliseconds in the past. The spacecraft attitude is changing continuously, and at that, so you have to take care of this delays in the attitude information coming from the sensor in the control loop design. You have to correct for that one. Similarly, the onboard computer, once it receives the input from sensor, it takes finite time to compute the controller and then gives a command to the thruster or to the wheel or to the magnetic torquer to do certain thing. There's another element of delay. All these delays become very, very important, especially when it comes to flexible spacecraft, highly flexible spacecraft. It becomes very, very important. Okay. So, like I said, thrusters have a rise time. They require minimum pulse width. Now, minimum pulse width, when if you have a large thruster, say, and it needs a very large minimum pulse width. Now, because of that one, you will produce a large torque also, and then large torque means smaller spacecraft will respond quickly. So that has a fuel impact. It will require more fuel consumption for the attitude control purposes. So these are the things which has to be very, very seriously and considered, and detailed simulation have to be done. Okay, in summary, the design of attitude determination control system is an involved process, requires system level understanding of a host of subjects such as attitude sensors, which I've already covered, propulsion system. Now, in propulsion system, there's one thing very important you have to remember is propellant flow and behavior under micro G. Propellant, say, generally the propellant tanks have a passive propellant management device, that is using the surface tension. Now, using a surface tension, certain amount of flow propellant is available. If the attitude is lost, okay, if the body has certain rates, then propellant may or may not be available at the output port and the gas may be coming. So you have to interact with the propulsion system design and tell, if such a thing happens, I will need minimum so much of propellant, and the propellant system should have a reservoir up to supply minimum that much of propellant. Otherwise, if the propellant gas starts coming out, then the mission is lost forever. Instead of the propellant coming out, the gas starts coming, then the whole thing is over. So these are the things. This is a big, very important thing under safe mode condition, or during the various maneuver, orbit adjustment maneuver condition. This is a very important parameter which requires a constant interaction between the propulsion system design and control system design. Then, of course, actuators like control mount gyros, they have a gimbal lock problem. Then you have to have a ways and means to overcome them. You say onboard computer. Now there are what happens is we want the cycle time to be minimum. That means from the input it takes, the OBC takes to the output, we want to minimize. So we have to what it means is we have to optimize the thing. Then we have also to, at what point in the cycle we take the input from the sensor, so that the sensor reading to the output is minimum time. This is a whole host of interaction requirement. Then the very important thing is control system cannot be tested directly. You cannot put everything, you cannot put the spacecraft, okay, on, say, on some floating platform and test the control system. Control system basically is what is called, what we use is a hardware in loop simulation. There, in the servo, is considered 3-axis servo table on which the sensors are mounted. Everything else is in the computer. how good is your model of spacecraft dynamics will decide how good is your performance. Okay? Because everything is in the computer. Now it can also happen, some smart fellow, if you have make a reverse wire connection, doing testing, some smart fellow knows there's a like this thing, okay, he corrects it and he tests it, it's okay. We may find this is a problem when the actual spacecraft is put in the actual spacecraft, there is a point wire reversal, which is goes unnoticed. So you have to do a lot of polarity tests. You have to make sure that you have done correctly connected everything properly. This is it's not a simple thing. At every stage there's an uncertainty, and you have to have testing. There's an uncertainty, design there's an uncertainty, and you need to have a host, very, very involved and requires detailed simulation and careful testing and implementation. Okay, that completes my presentation, and these are the references which you can look at. And thank you. That's all from my side.
Yeah, students, can you please respond? Anything you want to ask on a particular topic, you want some more?
You have any question from the previous presentation, you can either send me an email or send me I'll try to answer any question, any doubt you have. Okay, I'm open to that one, and I'll try to answer.
Any student wants to work on a project on attitude control?
So
nobody is responding.
Anyway, maybe this is a new topic, and
yeah.
Okay, that's also and classroom environment would have made a difference, because you can go to the board, you can go and write down the question. Here, it's interaction is not there. Okay, maybe if somebody has any question, feel free to write down and send me an email. I'll try to answer that one. Okay.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for everyone.
Okay, Karthik. Karthik. I think Karthik is not there.
Sir is not there.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Achha, next week, next Thursday, we are going to have a presentation on telecommand and telemetry. Mr. Pujari will be presenting. Okay?
Sir, this Thursday?
Yeah, this Thursday. Is it holiday?
Oh, no, sir, I am not sure.
Yeah, this Thursday. Next
Okay.
means coming Thursday.
Yeah.
Coming Thursday and Monday, subsequent Monday.
Okay, sir.
Okay. After that, communication part, we will decide, because that person was not available. We will decide little later. But then I will see what in between we can put. Another topic is leftover onboard computers. Some part I have covered, some more part I will try to cover. Okay?
Okay, sir.
How was your exam?
Yeah, it was good, sir.
Huh? All of you got good marks or not? Marks have given?
Marks not yet given, sir.
Is this going to be, in your part of your exam? This course on satellite technology will be?
Yes. The exam is there, no? I think last month end, they had one exam.
Achha.
So based on our all presentations, I prepared the questionnaire.
Achha.
And then give them. Then this also will cover.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
We'll
Thank
see.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.